All right, hello everybody. This video is to go over some of the prereq material for section 3.1, some things we need to know in order for us to be successful in that section. So let's start with this first part of these problems here. So we're told that for each of the following to perform the indicated operation. So if we look at the first one there, note that we have t minus 3, that quantity being multiplied by t plus 8. And we've seen things like this before, and we know that when we need to multiply these two, we use something called FOIL. And recall that FOIL stands for first, outer, well, we'll say outer here in a second, outer, inner, and last. Okay, so recall that what that means is when we go to multiply this, we start with the first in each, so we do the t times the t, which gives us a t squared. Then we do the outer, which means the t times the plus 8, which gives us a plus 8t. Then we do the inners, so the negative 3 and the t, which will give us minus 3t. And then the last, which means do negative 3 times negative 8, which gives us minus 24. And then here we have some like terms we can combine, so the plus 8t and the minus 3t, which when we combine those, we end up with t squared plus 5t minus 24. Okay, and that's our answer on that one. Cool. Now let's look at the next one. Okay, so this x minus 2, that whole thing squared. And I will tell you right now, it is very tempting when you do this to just try to distribute that squared and make this x squared plus 4. So basically just trying to square each thing that's in here. Unfortunately, that does not work for us here, or maybe fortunately, I should say, because that would be incorrect. So recall that when you have something squared, that means to multiply it by itself, right? 3 squared means 3 times 3. Negative 3 squared means negative 3 times negative 3. Okay? So similarly here, when we have x minus 2 squared, all right, well, what that gives us then, or a way to rewrite that, is x minus 2 times x minus 2. And then from there, we can FOIL, and I won't write out all the steps this time, but it'll be x squared minus 2x plus 4. And then we combine our like terms there. We'll have x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay, so that would be our answer there. So we do a similar thing on the next one, although in this case it's x minus 2 cubed, which means we would do x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x minus 2. We'd have some additional work to do there. And then the last one, the q minus 2 times q plus 7 times q minus 8, we'd also have to do some foiling. And there, the way we would do something like this is to multiply these first two terms first. So do q minus 2 times q plus 7 using our FOIL method here. And then we'd have to take our answer from that and then multiply it by q minus 8. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go through all of that right this second. But I do want to point something out about what we get with all of these. So for this first one up here, again, we had t squared minus 5t minus 24, or excuse me, plus 5t minus 24. Second one here gave us x squared minus 4x plus 4. Part C, again, I'm not going to write the whole answer, but I will tell you that it would start with, the answer would start with x cubed, and there'd be some stuff added to it. And then for the fourth one here, again, we're not going to go all the way through it, but it would start with x cubed plus some stuff. Okay. And what I want us to notice is that here, when we had two terms notice that the highest power we ended up in our answer was a squared. Here, this x minus 2 squared really meant x minus 2 times x minus 2. And again, we ended up with a squared. Here we had x minus 2 times x minus 2 times x minus 2, which gave us an x to the third as our highest power. And for the last one, we had q minus 2 times q plus 7 times q minus 8. So 3 terms, and again, we ended up with a third power as our highest exponent in our answer. So I point that out to see there seems to be some sort of correlation there, right, between the number of terms being multiplied and the highest power and what we ended up with. Interesting. Very interesting, right? Okay. Let's look at part 2. And again, I'm not going to go through all of this. In fact, I'm just going to look at the top one here. And notice now we have x minus 3 times x plus 5 equals 0. And we're asked to solve for the value or values of the missing variable here, or the value of x. Now, what I want you to notice here that we have is if I call x minus 3a and x plus 5b, we have something times something, or a times b equals 0. And if you think about it, if we have two things being multiplied to equal 0, what do we know one of the things is going to have to be? Right, one of them is going to have to be 0. So if we're given this, a times b equals 0, it means that either a equals 0 or b equals 0. Okay, this is something that's called the zero product property. So if you have two things multiplied to be equal to 0, either the first thing is 0 or the second thing is 0, or both things could be 0. That's a possibility too. So what that tells us for our equation over here is because we have x minus 3 times x plus 5 equals 0, then either we have the x minus 3 equals 0, or we have the x plus 5 equals 0. Okay, so then we can solve each of those. So in the first one, we add 3 to both sides, we get x equals 3. And the second one, we can solve x plus 5 equals 0, so subtract 5 from both sides. That would give us x equals negative 5. So our answers here would be x equals 3 or x equals negative 5. Now we don't know which one it is. It could be one of those. So those are both possible solutions for this problem. Okay? Awesome. Well, thank you for watching. That's all for now.